Hey folks, good morning. Happy Monday, May 14th. It is the Cam Rodgers Show. I am Cam Rodgers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Fun program on tap for you. Got you covered for the next hour with a lot of NFL talk. As always, we kick things off with my top story this morning and the latest NFL headlines, as well as my top quarterbacks entering 2018. More specifically, the top 10 quarterbacks. Will Tom Brady be at number 1? I kind of teased it on my professional page on Facebook to see if you guys would buy into maybe me being insane enough to not put Tom Brady at 1. Stay tuned. And then Tom Downey will join me with the top 5 most likely first-round busts here, because top 5 potential busts, I mean, they could all be busts potentially, but Tom has his top 5 most likely candidates there. And then to wrap up the show, I'll look ahead to the U.S. Open here as Tiger Woods performed very well yesterday at the Players' Championship, finishing T11. I'll give you the breakdown on what to expect from Woods coming up as we enter this summer across this wraparound PGA Tour season. All right, let's get to the latest NFL headlines. Today's top story: legendary coach Chuck Knox has passed away at age 86. The only coach ever to win the AP Coach of the Year award with 3 different franchises. He was known as a turnaround coach with his old school approach here. Knox won at least 10 games in all 5 of his seasons with the Rams. And then with the Seahawks, he reached the AFC Championship game in his first season. So really storied career there for Knox. We wish his family all the best here as they go through this process of grieving. But one of the greats moving on. So Chuck Knox passing away at the age of 86. All right, let's get to some more headlines here. We'll start things off with the Matt Patricia situation. And as I do want to give a shout out to one of the loyal watchers here on the Cam Rodgers Show. Tyler Davis is back. Tyler, all I have to ask is, where the heck have you been, my man? I see you have a new profile picture too. Good stuff there. All right, so what's the deal here? Golden Tate, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, speaking to the Detroit Free Press, called the Patricia situation, quote, a bunch of bull crap, and said Lions players support Patricia to the max. So obviously we're dealing with accusations of a 1996 sexual assault incident that has resurfaced recently in regards to Patricia. Actually, just last week it resurfaced, and Tate also said that the situation will blow over eventually. Now, my assumption is it won't until this gets resolved. Like, we're talking about some serious allegations here. Just assuming that it's going to blow over because the case was dismissed is, I think, is a little crazy. So there's clearly something here in terms of motivation to resurface this story. I don't know what that motivation is, whether this person has something against Patricia, whether this actually happened. I don't know. I wasn't there, neither were you, so there's this whole kind of cloudiness to this whole deal here. So whoever leaked this to the Detroit Free Press, I feel wasn't looking for just one bad week of poor PR for Matt Patricia. I think there's a little bit more to this story here. So Tate said Patricia spoke with the team but didn't offer too many specifics on the matter. And this is just me, but if you're in a press conference and you're looking to clear your name, then wouldn't you want to provide specifics on the matter, right? Instead of just saying in a blanket statement, no, this is false. I was accused of some fictional story here, and, you know, that's that. Like, I know there's been some YouTube commenters coming at me, like, appalled that I am expecting specifics, but wouldn't you want to offer as much information as possible to prove or at least convince people that this story is made up, that there's no there, if you will? So it's just slightly odd for Patricia to channel his inner Belichick, to be honest with you, and not really say much on the matter. It just doesn't look good if you don't offer some sort of specific details on why you are innocent or why this story was made up. Maybe you say you weren't even on the spring break trip. Maybe you say you were in a different hotel and you have the records to prove it. Just anything other than, no, this is made up. No, this is just false. Like, it just doesn't look good. And, you know, I have no law degree or anything like that, but I feel like, you know, just in terms of a PR standpoint, it would certainly convince people in a more positive fashion for Patricia if he were to provide some sort of specific details, documentation, whatever the case may be. Now, like I said, the assumption that charges were dropped and thus Patricia has to be innocent is just not correct, by the way. Just because this victim in this situation decided not to testify does not mean that this whole fiasco here was made up. Now, it also doesn't mean that it actually happened. I'm just saying that because charges were dropped does not mean Patricia is out of hot water just yet. All right, here on the Cam Rodgers Show, we do appreciate when you guys chime in here. And we've got David, 1996. Is it a little old? How the heck is it only getting attention now? So, David, that goes back to one of my points earlier about there's some sort of motivation for bringing it out now. Whether it's you just whoever the leaker was wanted to just bring it up because Patricia's now a head coach and they want to get revenge on him or whatever, or somebody just simply made it up. I don't know. None of us know. And yes, the fact that this was so long ago makes the situation somewhat odd, but Matt Patricia has never been a head coach in the National Football League. He is now, and I don't foresee him being in the front office anytime soon in the NFL, so this might be the highest position he ever reaches in this league, and perhaps now is the time to bring this up. Now, the Lions organization has stood pat. They've been supportive of Patricia throughout this process here. And look, it's a muddy situation. Most of these instances are the he said, she said deals. And I am not asserting any position whatsoever. But I will say this, with Golden Tate just brushing it off, saying that this will blow over, I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think this might stick for quite some time here, and the NFL is doing its own investigation right now. So I don't know what the next steps are going to be in terms of this, whether the victim wants to take this to a public court of opinion here and wants to testify because, you know, like I mentioned, in 1996, she did not want to testify, and that's why the charges were dropped. So, yeah, it's quite a situation here, and a lot of people have their fair share of thoughts on it. I know a lot of Lions fans out there are like, 1996, there's something fishy here. We're going to stand by our head coach. Other Lions fans out there are a little curious about the matter. So it's very much up in the air in terms of what's to come here with Matt Patricia, but I will tell you this. It ain't a good start as a head coach in the National Football League for Mr. Patricia. Now, the New England Patriots, by the way, have released a statement on this matter. They have said that when they went through the interview process, this never came up for them. They never found it. Nothing ever surfaced in that regard. Now, I will say that kind of stuff, like an indictment, is public record. You can find that pretty easily. So the fact that the Patriots did not find this out is a little thinking face for me. So there you go. That's the deal with Matt Patricia. We'll see what happens going forward there. But the locker room stands behind their new head coach. All right, let's go to the next headline here. The Broncos have reportedly called up DeMarcus Ware, not to play, folks, but to coach on a part-time basis. So the man who tore up opposing offensive linemen for 12 years as he racked up 138.5 sacks could soon be a part of OTAs and training camp for the Denver Broncos. And the Broncos want to utilize Ware in the development of their young defenders here, more specifically Mr. Bradley Chubb, who the Broncos selected at number 5 overall. There's also been some speculation, unproven or anything like that, that Ware may have a similar role with the Dallas Cowboys. Again, not confirmed there. So Ware wrapped up his career with the Denver Broncos for the last 3 years, so perhaps going back to his old stomping grounds to help out that defense a little bit could go a long way. DeMarcus Ware was one of the best edge rushers out there, and especially during his peak, and went out with a really fine career playing for 12 years there. So looks like he could be a part of the offseason workouts for the Denver Broncos franchise. And I'll tell you one thing, if Bradley Chubb can learn a thing or two from DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller, who's currently on the team, that spells good news. Now, Von Miller, you may recall before the draft, said of Bradley Chubb that he's a combination of himself, Miller, and Khalil Mack. So then you bring in DeMarcus Ware into the fray. There is a very high ceiling for Bradley Chubb to make some big-time headlines as he enters the NFL. All right, let's get to the next headline here, talking about the Patriots. Looks like they're out on signing Johnny Manziel. So the drafting of LSU quarterback Danny Etling essentially cancels any possibility of that according to Mike Reese of ESPN reporting this. The Patriots attended that San Diego Pro Day where Manziel was present, so there was some buzz that maybe New England would look into bringing Johnny Manziel onto that Patriots depth chart, but you got Brian Hoyer, you got Danny Etling, and of course Tom Brady is there as well. Now, Johnny recently told TMZ not too long ago that he joined the Patriots in a heartbeat. I guess the Patriots haven't come calling anytime soon because Manziel currently isn't on the team. I don't expect him to head to New England, but who knows? There were some rumors that the Patriots wanted to trade up for Baker Mayfield, and Mayfield drew a lot of Johnny Manziel comparisons, so maybe Johnny Manziel could be the consolation prize to not trading up and getting Baker Mayfield, right? Maybe? I don't know. So we'll see. Plus, I don't think the Patriots want the media attention around bringing Johnny Manziel to New England. I just don't think they want that at this juncture, especially coming off an offseason where there were reports about Kraft and Belichick and Brady and this trifecta not getting along very well, and then the reports about perhaps a Rob Gronkowski trade and Gronk, not getting along well with Bill Belichick. You guys have heard me rant many a times on this program about how maybe Bill Belichick was getting ready to cut ties with Rob Gronkowski due to the antics that Gronk was going throughout the offseason, and Bill Belichick being the petty micromanager that he is as an NFL head coach. One of the greatest of all time, but still can be petty. So you guys have heard me talk about that. Now, in terms of Johnny Manziel, will he complete the NFL comeback? Give me a heart for yes, a like for no. There are a few notable names out there that are trying to complete this NFL comeback. Johnny Manziel, probably the most prominent, alongside one Colin Kaepernick, who I will get to later in the show. Got a little update for you guys on Cap as he tries to make his NFL comeback a reality. So hit me up in the comment section as well, talking about Johnny Manziel and the NFL comeback there. All right, let's get to the next headline on my list. Jalen Ramsey calling out Josh Allen, the first-round selection there for the Buffalo Bills. So Ramsey took to Twitter, eventually deleted a negative comment regarding the Buffalo Bills rookie quarterback Allen from Friday. So it was a Buffalo Bills video posted on their Twitter account, Jalen Ramsey saying that's a pick waiting to happen. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure resident draft analyst here at Chad Sports, Tom Downey, just finds the hilarity to 100% in that one. Yeah, Ramsey eventually deleted the tweet, as I said. Of course, the Bills traded up to get Allen at number 7 overall. His accuracy at Wyoming was a big concern. He completed just 56.3 of his passes for a shade over 1,800 yards and 16 touchdowns in 11 games last year. And you go throughout his high school tenure and everything, accuracy was a big-time problem. Now, here's the fun subplot here, folks. All right, the Bills host the Jags in Week 12. So, hey, maybe Allen is the quarterback by then and perhaps can get some revenge on Jalen Ramsey. My bet is Jalen gets a couple interceptions in the more likely scenario than, say, Josh Allen throws a couple touchdowns against Jalen Ramsey there. So there you go. Ramsey calls out Josh Allen on Twitter. And actually, by the way, his follow-up tweet was, he's got to chill. So come on, Jalen, you don't have to chill. That's fine. That's good gamesmanship. We like to see that. Some smack talk there in the month of May. So there you go. That's the latest regarding Jalen Ramsey and Josh Allen going at it. How about Sean Payton and Adrian Peterson? They notoriously went at it in Week 1. Of course, Payton denies that. AD denies that as well. So the story here, Sean Payton not ruling out a return for Adrian. Peterson is working out and seems to be in good shape. I've been watching some videos. There's a recent video that surfaced of him on a treadmill, so it's not out of the realm of possibility here that maybe the Saints go ahead and bring in Adrian Peterson here. So we'll see what happens going forward. But Alvin Kamara, the top running back as we stand right now, and Mark Ingram is suspended for the first 4 games of the NFL season. So that's what's kind of resurfacing this Adrian Peterson rumor here. So Peterson did play a little bit for the Saints a year ago, as I mentioned, and was eventually traded to the Cardinals, where he actually played a lot better, totaling 448 yards, rushing and 2 touchdowns on 129 carries before a neck injury landed him on injured reserve to close out this season. I think it makes sense for the Saints to at least bring in Adrian Peterson for some sort of workout or what have you. The Saints also have Boston Scott, Jonathan Williams, among others, backing up Alvin Kamara there. So there you go. Adrian Peterson could be back on the New Orleans Saints, something to keep in mind there. All right, let's go to the next headline here. Steve Wilks is asserting that Sam Bradford is the starter. So the Cardinals have Bradford, Mike Glennon, and they have, of course, rookie Josh Rosen. So amid all the Josh Rosen hype, Wilks is standing by his quarterback there in regards to being the starter. So key phrase here is that he's the starter for week 1. Wilks hasn't ruled out Josh Rosen, perhaps eventually supplanting Sam Bradford there as the quarterback. And, of course, why would he not rule that out? But Wilks has said before that Bradford is one of the best in the business. And I think he is too, when healthy. And that's the big-time footnote with Bradford. Over the past 10 years, 20 of 27 first-round quarterbacks have started at least 8 games in the rookie season. So Bradford's going to have to fend off that trend. Alex Smith was the exception last year, you guys may recall, of course, holding off Patrick Mahomes en route to a borderline MVP campaign for part of the 2017 season. So the reality for Bradford is he's got to fight off the demons of being hurt. And he has played a 16-game season just twice in his career here. So you have to go back to 2012 for the last time it happened for Sam Bradford, playing 16 games. Who should be the starter for the Arizona Cardinals in Week 1 of 2018? Hit me up in the comment section here on the Cam Rodgers Show. I've got my broadcast on my laptop. My guy, Marcus Williams, chiming in with a good show. Cam, Marcus, thank you for watching, my man. Hope you're doing all right on the West Coast there, making some breakfast as you watch the program. Hit me up in comments here on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. All right, next headline here. The Colts are confident in their quarterback, Andrew Luck, to be a full go for training camp. So after speaking with team sources, NFL Network's Charlie Casserly reported the Colts are very confident Luck will be ready for training camp in late July. Obviously, they've played this really conservatively, and rightfully so. I mean, Andrew Luck, of course, missed all of 2017 due to shoulder injuries, and Luck is not expected to practice during OTAs, a mandatory minicamp. That we know. And how about this? If Luck can get back to the form that he was at prior to the injury, the AFC South is going to be really fun to watch. And I'll tell you one thing, Luck can win the Colts some games single-handedly. And we could see some big-time competition in that division, so much so that we could see 3 teams make the playoffs out of that division. Honestly. We saw it happen in the NFC South a year ago. It could happen in the AFC South this year. I could see the Titans winning the division. I could see the Houston Texans finishing second. I could see the Colts making a run at things. I could see the Jaguars, heck, winning the division there. So it's going to be a hotly contested division. And I'll tell you one thing. Andrew Luck, if he is back and better than ever, could drastically change the landscape of the AFC. Now, the rest of the team around him is a little not talented, to say the least, so he's going to have to fight off some of that adversity there, but we'll see what happens with Andrew Luck and how he bounces back from this shoulder injury. So Colts are confident in him, and we'll see what happens going forward there. I am hearing in my ear that we have some breaking news here. I am going to gather as much information as I can in regards to that. Let's hit a quick break here, the Cam Rodgers Show, and coming up on the other side, we'll talk about the breaking news that has just been filed to me. Of course, we got more NFL headlines to talk about. Colin Kaepernick, the future with him. Terrell McClain has found a new team as well. I got all of that coming up for you guys on the Cam Rodgers Show. Stick around. Breaking news coming up next. All right, welcome back to the Cam Rodgers Show. Breaking news here on the program. States are now free to legalize sports betting according to a recent Supreme Court ruling here. So the court ruled 7-2 to overturn the federal ban on sports betting. As you see there, allowing states to legalize if they so choose. 4 states already have laws in place and certainly more likely to come. The floodgates are now open. As I talked about, 4 states already have laws ready to go and already in effect here for this moment. New Jersey, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, as well as, and more than 20 are in line now. So Supreme Court rules Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act of 1992 is unconstitutional. Nevada has been grandfathered in to not be included in the 1992 law, and New Jersey has already passed a law prior to today and should be up and running in 2 weeks for the second sports betting state there. So big time news if you guys are some gamblers out there. The breaking news here in the show, the Supreme Court rules on sports betting 7-2, which is a very convincing number there to now take it to the states in terms of legalizing sports betting if they so choose. So delegating from the federal government over to the states now, it's a state issue at this point in time. That's the breaking news here on the Cam Rodgers Show. And we'll continue along with the latest NFL headlines here on the program. But certainly let me know what you think about this. Are you guys sports bettors out there? Let me know in the comments section here on Facebook Live. I see Jesse chiming in. What's up, Cam? Love the show. Jesse, I love you. Thanks for tuning into the program here on this Monday morning. And we've got some other commenters chiming in as well. We got Joshua here. We've got Sherry chiming in with a lot of your insight here. We certainly appreciate that. So keep them coming here on the Cam Rodgers Show. But the breaking news right now, the Supreme Court has legalized sports betting from a federal standpoint. It will now go to the states for them to decide whether or not to make sports betting legal. All right, so it's a 7-2 overturn here, saying the 1992 act that was previously in place has been ruled unconstitutional there. So there you go. Who's betting today, ladies and gentlemen? Some fun news here in regards to that. All right, so do you plan to bet on sports now that states can legalize it? Hit me up in the comments section here on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. Be sure to let me know what you guys think about this breaking news here on the show. All right, folks, let's continue along here with the latest NFL headlines here. And it's the Atlanta media, more specifically SB Nation there in Atlanta, asking for the Falcons to sign Colin Kaepernick. So a local Falcons writer here, Matthew Chambers of the SB Nation's Falcons website, is calling for the team to sign Kaepernick as a backup. And the logic is pretty simple, folks. Matt Ryan's current backup is Matt Schaub, who just isn't good at all, and we know that. He was Mr. Pick Six a few years ago, and God forbid anything happens to Matt Ryan here, who, by the way, has been the ultimate Iron Man in the NFL. You really want to trot out Matt Schaub there to be the backup and to supplant Matt Ryan if he does indeed get hurt. So local writer here in Atlanta wants the Falcons to at least look into Colin Kaepernick here. And what makes matters difficult is Kaepernick has this whole ongoing grievance case against the NFL. But as I've said on this show before, my theory is that maybe Kaepernick wants to put a little pressure on the NFL owners. Maybe the NFL owners eventually get sick and tired of paying the legal fees with all these depositions that have gone about. And eventually one of them just caves and says, okay, let's bring this guy in. Let's see what he can do. And there would be no more collusion case. At least that would be the thinking there. So Colin Kaepernick, of course, is still looking for an NFL opportunity here. He's still trying to make the comeback a reality. We do have a weigh-in. Do you think Colin Kaepernick will be on an NFL roster this season? Hit me up in the comments section. Open up that crystal ball, if you will. Let me know what you foresee about Colin Kaepernick in 2018. Eric Reed also has a collusion case against the NFL as well. Both those players are currently unemployed. And Colin Kaepernick did not play at all in 2017. Eric Reed, of course, played last year, but he was one of the first to kneel alongside Colin Kaepernick, and apparently that got brought up with the Cincinnati Bengals organization, who he was visiting with not too long ago there. So at least Atlanta media, or one media member, wants Colin Kaepernick to be on the Falcons roster. The Falcons have a really balanced roster. But I guess the one weakness would be backup quarterback, right? Because Matt Schaub just, I think, is a low floor backup quarterback at this point in his career there. So let me know what you think about Colin Kaepernick. All right, let's get to the next headline here. If you missed it on the Friday news dump, the Falcons have signed Terrell McClain after visits with the Cowboys, Redskins, and the Dolphins as well. So the Falcons continue to bolster that already well-balanced roster there. McClain, 6'2", 302 pounds, provides depth and experience on that front line, specifically behind Grady Jarrett, who had a really good 2017 season. McClain previously signed a 4-year, $21 million contract with the Redskins, you may recall, last year, but Washington eventually released him on April 30th. Now, on his career, McClain has appeared in 74 games, 29 starts, and totaled 110 tackles, 75 of those solo, with 6.5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. The Falcons now have Terrell McClain as depth. They have Grady Jarrett, who I like a lot, and Adrian Peterson, who they got via the draft as well. So a big-time question mark for Atlanta was the interior of that defensive line, right? With Dontari Poe moving on out, the question was, how are they going to fill that void there at defensive tackle? And, you know, I think they're doing a pretty darn good job at that. They got a pretty good amount of depth there on that front seven. Atlanta's going to be a good team. And I'll tell you what, I'll talk about Matt Ryan later when I go through my top 10 quarterbacks entering 2018. You're watching the Cam Rodgers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live, presented by Mizzen and Main. These are advanced performance fabric shirts that you will love. Comfortable.af is indeed the website. Sweat wicking technology, no ironing needed, no dry cleaning needed. Really a fantastic website. Products made right here in America. All right, they're sponsoring the program here today, episode 103 on this Monday morning. And here on the Cam Rodgers Show, I am now ranking the top 10 quarterbacks entering the 2018 NFL season. So let's do it. Number 10 on my list, Marcus, you'll like this one, Jimmy Garoppolo. And not a big sample size, but I still feel he's a top 10 quarterback entering this year. And maybe this is an indictment on the lack of depth at this position in the entire league, or maybe it's just the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is more promising than any other player. I don't know, but this man is going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. I feel it. All right, took the 49ers to a 5-0 record a year ago, ranked 10th among all quarterbacks, by the way, according to Pro Football Focus a year ago. Totally transformed that 49ers team last year from hopeless to hopeful in a matter of 5 games. And obviously the 49ers know the importance of Jimmy Garoppolo here because they signed him to that big fat contract, 5 years, $137 million there. And now the 49ers have an upgraded offense too. They got Jerick McKinnon at running back, who I think could perhaps surpass 1,000 yards rushing. He'll definitely get more than 1,000 yards from scrimmage. You got a healthy Pierre Garçon, who missed the final 8 games last year due to a neck injury. Dante Pettis, who they got via the draft, who I think could be really an electric player. You got Weston Richburg there at center, which I think is a low-key, really important signing for San Francisco. Daniel Kilgore just wasn't the guy, I don't think. And Richburg, when healthy, can be one of the better centers in the NFL. Of course, he dealt with his fair share of injuries a year ago, but he's got top 5 center potential if he is healthy. And he got a couple of young tight ends, George Kittle, Garrett Selleck. So all the pieces are there for Jimmy Garoppolo to be successful with the San Francisco 49ers. I understand the sample size is small for Jimmy G, right? Just a total of 7 games starting experience, 2-0 in his career with the Patriots, 5-0, as I mentioned, with the 49ers. But let me say this. When I go through these rankings here, this is what I'm thinking about in my mind. All right, as an NFL head coach, I need one final drive to win a game. And these are my top 10 quarterbacks that I feel can get that done. So that means Derek Carr isn't on this list. Kirk Cousins is not on this list, despite $84 million in guaranteed money. Jimmy Garoppolo is, because I feel he is top 10 in that category to be clutch in that final drive to win me a football game. So Jimmy Garoppolo is there at number 10. Let's go to number 9 on my list here. Phillip Rivers, quarterback of the Chargers there. Consistently one of the most efficient passers in the NFL. Of course, most notably known for that unconventional throwing motion, and he just makes it work, and it works really well. He needs to figure out a way to energize this team at the beginning of seasons, though. The Chargers started 0-4 last year and steadily climbed their way out of it, but they got to get off to a better start this year. There's no excuse for them to start sluggishly yet again. They got a good team. Phillip Rivers ranked 8th among all quarterbacks, according to Pro Football Focus a year ago. Hasn't received much help in the ground game and on the offensive line. You know, from a collective standpoint, the last 5 years, Melvin Gordon has certainly aided things in the last couple of years. And the offensive line is getting better, of course. They added center Mike Pouncey, veteran player, perhaps provided some continuity there at the center position, something the Chargers have been longing for quite some time. They got a couple of young guards as well in Feeney and Forrest Lamp. Lamp, a 2017 second-rounder. Feeney was a third-rounder last year as well. So the offensive line is getting there. Phillip Rivers is in a position here where he could make a run with the Chargers. And John Elway actually recently said that the Chargers could be the team to beat in the AFC West. And I think the AFC West is wide open, folks. Phillip Rivers is at number 9 here in my rankings there. And Keenan Allen, by the way, I do want to mention him, still a premier receiver. We'll see what Mike Williams can do. He played in 10 games last year, but only had 11 receptions. So Rivers has that ability to carry a team when it matters most. I do want to see him go into the playoffs next year, though, and see him create some damage there, because it's been quite some time, as you see on your screen, has made the playoffs just once since 2010, so that needs to change. All right, let's go to number 8 here in my quarterback rankings entering 2018. Mr. Dramatic himself, Ben Roethlisberger. You know, he can throw 5 interceptions in any given game, but he's still top 10 in my eyes. Maybe this is an indictment of the quality of play in the NFL, like I mentioned here with Jimmy Garoppolo. So Roethlisberger, all things considered, had a solid 2017. He actually finished 4th among qualified quarterbacks, according to Pro Football Focus. He's the ultimate ad-libber. We know what he can do on the move and shaking off tacklers. But he also has the luxury of the best RB to wide receiver duo in the NFL. Talking about Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. So that helps him out a lot in the process of being an effective quarterback. The defense is going through changes, especially at linebacker. You got TJ Watt, Bud Dupree, John Bostic are decent but not great. We'll see if Joe Hayden can continue his resurgence from 2017. But overall, 2-time Super Bowl champion. This season may have to come down to Roethlisberger more than any other season. In that sense, a lot of pressure on him, and I feel like he's going to have to carry this team a lot next year because of the changes, I guess, at linebacker on that defensive side there for Pittsburgh. And I don't know if that secondary is going to shape up really well either. So could be a lot of shootouts for the Steelers next year. Ben Roethlisberger is at number 8 in my quarterback rankings entering 2018. All right, let's go to number 7 here on my list, and it is Mr. Andrew Luck. And this, assuming this shoulder surgery here isn't as bad as it seems, Andrew Luck, I feel, is still a top-line quarterback in the NFL. He's super clutch and has had 0 pass protection or a semblance of a consistent run game for most of his career, which really amazes me when you look at some of his numbers for the past few years, obviously not counting 2017 when he missed the entire year. But he has the potential still to be an elite quarterback, and perhaps he's close to do so. You got the offensive line here for Indianapolis, which may be the best in the Andrew Luck era, with Anthony Costanzo at left tackle. They re-signed Jack Mewhort. Hopefully he is healthy. Ryan Kelly is coming back from injury. You got Quentin Nelson, of course, that first-round draft pick, who I think has 0 weaknesses and could be perhaps a Pro Bowl player, multiple Pro Bowl player in the NFL there. So offensive line is shaking out well for Luck, so that's check there. The shoulder injury, we'll see, should be good to go for training camp. He hasn't played a full 16-game season since 2014, so durability has been an issue for Andrew Luck in the last couple of years. But when he did play in 2014 for that full season, he threw for 40 touchdowns with a 96.5 quarterback rating. Pretty darn good there. So one of the more intelligent quarterbacks in the NFL, great leader, great mentality as well. Really positive guy. Even after a fumble or interception, he gets back up, he's clapping, he's getting back to the sideline there. So Luck is at number 7 on my list, and I could see him rise up if he performs well throughout the regular season in 2018, and there are no ill effects from the injuries of the past. All right, let's go to number 6 on my list, the top 10 quarterbacks entering 2018. Matt Ryan, here he is, one of the more consistent players in the league, an MVP in his own right. Last year was a bit of a drop-off. I blame offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian for that. Like, the Falcons had the same cast of characters on offense from 2016 to 2017, but Sarkisian could not produce what Kyle Shanahan did. So, you know, in experiments, you look at variables. What was the variable that changed here? The offensive coordinator. Now, Matt Ryan, like I said, has never missed a game. He's an Iron Man. He's a fantastic player, and if he can get back to that 2016 form, the Falcons have a very real shot to capture the NFC South, as well as get a top 2 seed in the NFL. I've talked about how balanced this Falcons roster is. They went on the road and beat the #1 scoring offense during the playoffs in the LA Rams. Valiant performance against the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Last year in the playoffs as well. So he does sometimes make that boneheaded throw, Matt Ryan, and maybe that's because he's in the Joe Flacco draft class, because Flacco makes the same boneheaded throws as well. So all things aside in regards to that, Matt Ryan is still a top 6 quarterback entering 2018. All right, so let's summarize my rankings so far. Ryan's at 6. I got Andrew Luck at number 7. There's Ben at 8, Phillip Rivers at 9, and there you go, Niner Empire. Jimmy Garoppolo checks in at number 10. And let's go to number 5 on my list here. And this guy just continues to perform despite 0 pass protection. Russell Wilson. So it's just not fair for this poor guy. For someone who is constantly on the run, Russell Wilson is a fantastic quarterback. And the offensive line has done him no favors here, nor has the run game. You look at Christine Michael, Thomas Rawls, remember Fred Jackson, Mike Davis? Wilson is a fantastic leader. I think he's got a really beautiful deep ball. He's got that rainbow throw that is really nice to watch. He's got it down fantastically. Here's the problem. We'll never see Russell Wilson again at his utmost potential with that offensive line. And I'm looking at you, Justin Britt, and DJ Fluker, and Jermaine Edmonds. They all have been bad of late. And if they don't step up their play, Russell Wilson will continue to be hindered throughout the process of playing in the NFL. And it's a shame for that. And the Seahawks leadership has done Russell no favors in addressing the offensive line. And they did, albeit briefly, in the NFL draft in 2018. But just the questionable picks at the beginning of that draft with Rashad Penny there, it just didn't make much sense. And so there you go. Russell Wilson is with a little asterisk there because I think he has the ceiling of a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, but the offensive line has been holding him back of late. So the fact that he hasn't thrown more than 11 interceptions is astounding considering the lack of protection there in the last few years. So Russell Wilson's at number 5 on my list. Let's go to number 4, and he perhaps would have won the MVP trophy if it weren't for an ACL injury. It's Carson Wentz, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, had an incredible 2017 with 33 touchdowns in 13 games. And Wentz has just 16 touchdowns in 16 games in 2016. A lot of 16s there. And a big-time development jump from that year to 2017. And Wentz really did a fantastic job with offensive coordinator Frank Reich and quarterback coach John DeFilippo at the time. Now, the sad news is Frank Reich is now the head coach of the Colts, and John DeFilippo is now the offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. So both those guys are gone. So from a continuity standpoint, may not be the best news in the world for Carson Wentz, and we may not see him during the preseason, folks. So we might have to wait until week 1 of 2018 to actually see real reps, football reps from Carson Wentz. And he's going through the rehab process, and he's confident that he's going through the motions in an effective manner, and he feels that he'll be healthy and ready to go there for week 1. He has said that he doesn't need to play in the preseason, which I think is a little crazy, Carson. You may want to get some reps in the preseason before you head right into the regular season. But the Eagles will get left tackle Jason Peters back, which I think is ultra important there, protecting the blind side there. And Wentz also has Jay Ajayi at his disposal. So I think he's in for yet another great season. Whether or not he will win the MVP is up for debate. So hit me up in the comments section here on Facebook Live. Will Carson Wentz win the MVP? If not, who will? Let me know. And I'll be tracking what you guys say. I see Sherry chiming in. You got Jonathan in the comments section as well. Jose, big fan of Garoppolo. Got him at number 10 there, Niner Empire. So there you go. Carson Wentz checks in at number 4. Let's go to number 3 here. Drew Brees, premier leader. He is the face of New Orleans, and he's a top 3 quarterback in my eyes. The last time we saw him, he made a big-time 17-point comeback in Minnesota. All for naught, unfortunately. But just 8 interceptions in 2017, and as that run game continues to perform, I think so will Drew Brees. Because the more Mark Ingram, at least, for the latter portion of the season, not the first 4 because he got suspended, but Alvin Kamara continue to carry the brunt of the offense here, Drew Brees will be fresher and fresher as he goes throughout the season. He won't be called upon to throw the football 50 to 55 times anymore. He's not getting any younger. We know that. And so the more his arm stays fresh, the better off the Saints will be heading into the playoffs, because they'll make the playoffs. It's just a matter of, will Drew Brees be good to go and not be wearing down by that point? And because of that run game, I don't think he will be. I firmly believe he'll capture another Super Bowl. Or at least, at the very least, appear in another Super Bowl. But I believe he is in a position to make a big-time run. This is the Saints Super Bowl window right now. And they'll get to a couple Super Bowls, I think, before the time Drew Brees retires and perhaps capture yet another ring. All right, so Drew Brees is there at number 3. Let's go to number 2 on my list. Sherry can already guess the final 2, and I'm sure many of you can here. So Aaron Rodgers. He's at number 2 on my list. Fantastic overall player. You saw last year how bad the Packers need Aaron Rodgers in the starting rotation there. And without him, the Packers just weren't very good a year ago. Brett Hundley was not an effective quarterback. Rodgers hasn't had a double-digit interception season since 2010. In his last full season, he had 40 touchdowns and just 7 picks. In every full season, Rodgers has at least 10 wins in his career. So he has led the NFL in passer rating twice in his career as well. Aaron Rodgers is a top-line quarterback in the NFL, and I don't think there's anybody better than him in terms of on the run, especially to his right. We've seen it so many times before. Aaron Rodgers firing the football on those Hail Mary plays. He's a top 2 quarterback entering 2018. Finally, the top quarterback as we enter the 2018 season, perhaps the greatest quarterback of all time, Thomas Brady, quarterback of the New England Patriots, 5-time Super Bowl champion, perennial Pro Bowler, number 1 quarterback last year, according to Pro Football Focus, and by the way, it wasn't even close. Has received an elite grade from PFF 4 of the last 6 years. Perhaps the best pre-snap reader in the NFL. A rapid release as well. When you watch the Patriots on Sunday Night Football, one thing they always do is they trace the speed of the quarterback's release. And many times, Tom Brady clocks out as one of the fastest. And that's why the Patriots love that horizontal passing game, because Brady is so accurate, so fast with the way in which he releases that football. With the game on the line, one final drive, I am picking Tom Brady out of any quarterback in the NFL right now. And that is the crux of my rankings. Not necessarily a clutch rating, but it is, I want a winner on my team. And Tom Brady is number 1 on my list there. So let's summarize real quick if we can here. the full-on rankings for the 2018 NFL season at the quarterback position. Matt Ryan at 6, Andrew Luck at 7, Ben Roethlisberger there at number 8, Phillip Rivers at 9. There you go, Niners fans. Jimmy Garoppolo is a top 10 quarterback in my eyes. 1 through 5 we go. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Carson Wentz, and Russell Wilson, the top 5 quarterbacks entering this NFL season. You guys are watching the Cam Rodgers Show. I am Cam Rodgers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. I got my guy Tom Downey joining me on the program in a matter of moments. We're going to hit a quick break here on the show. I want you guys hit me up in the comments section as you guys wait here. Biggest bust potential for the 2018 NFL Draft. Coming up next. And welcome back to the Cam Rodgers Show. Cam Rodgers with you guys alongside our draft analyst, Tom Downey. Tom, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Nice
so,
I'm good.
You love to go through all the draft analysis here,
yes.
And we've got our top 5 most likely draft busts here in the first round.
Technically, they could all be busts.
Exactly. So we've crunched them down to 5 here. And by the way, shout out to Marcos in the comment section. Mr. Rogers, 89 is a bust. Well, Marcos, by the way, I'm 99, so that must be a different Cam, right? That's got to be. It's not me. I can't be a bust. All right, let's go to your names here, Tom. We'll start things off with Josh Allen. I am sure you have a lot to talk about him here, so the floor is yours, my man.
Why is it going to change for Josh Allen? Like you and I discussed this off air. Is Josh Allen going to be the next Brett Favre? Because if he's not, then he's going to bust. Even going back to high school, even JV high school, he didn't complete 60% of his passes. So why all of a sudden, when Josh Allen for his entire life has been a sub 60% completion guy, even in high school, even at community college, why is he suddenly going to improve on that? I get that the upside is there. He's got a rocket for an arm. He's athletic. He can move. He can do everything you want. You see all of the ability on the field at times, but the consistency has just never been there. So why would it change now?
That's an amazing graphic, Tom.
Thank you.
Just look at it. Yeah, great job on your part, but just amazing in terms of the numbers here. And when you say high upside, if he's somebody who has high upside, wouldn't he have panned out by now?
You would think, right? Now, it could still work out. I think you can coach him up a little bit, but if it doesn't end up developing, then he's going to be a bust. So I want Josh Allen to be great because if he is, he's going to be one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. But I think the reality is, from what he is right now as a prospect to what he has to become, it's too much of a gap.
Okay.
So of all the players on this list, I unfortunately feel most comfortable about Josh Allen not panning out. But I hope I'm wrong.
You and Jalen Ramsey both.
Yeah, well, Ramsey's a smart guy sometimes.
Let's go to the next name on the list. And I don't know if Saints fans are going to like this.
They
Marcus
won't.
Davenport, Tom.
Of the 5 guys we're discussing, I focused again on guys that I thought had the biggest potential to bust. Sure. Not necessarily that, they're guaranteed bust. There's no such thing in the NFL. So of the 5 guys we're going to discuss, I think that Davenport is the most likely to have success in the NFL. The big concern for me with Davenport is that he's still kind of raw as a prospect. I don't think he's DeMarcus Ware coming out of Troy. I don't think he's that caliber of player. He's not a finished product. He needs polishing. I hope that Davenport becomes that guy. I hope that he becomes the extra edger that the Saints so badly need. But you go back and look at the recent draft history of trading up for defensive end or edge rushers in the first round. We'll see how Tack and Floyd end up being, but Shane Ray and Deion Jordan did not turn out that well. And edge rushing is not a guaranteed success there. So I think that Davenport will have success, but there's definitely the potential for this to not work out. He won at UTSA because he was bigger, stronger, and faster than everyone he played against. That will not be the case in the NFL, so he has to become more refined in his actual pass rushing moves. He doesn't have that yet. He was really good in the actual Senior Bowl game, but in the Senior Bowl practices, he did not look very good.
And it showed flashes, but
they've been there.
That's the best way to kind of encapsulate Davenport. Flashes.
Yes.
He's very raw, still needs polish.
Again, much like Allen and other players we'll discuss, the upside is there, but he's not quite a finished product yet. Same with a bunch of the linebackers, Jermaine Edmonds and Leighton Vander Esch as well.
Okay, so there you go. Marcus Davenport on the list here for top 5 most likely first-round busts here, Tom. Let's go to the offensive side again, and it's Colton Miller, tackle there for the Raiders.
Raiders fans really do not like me.
They're going to come at you quickly.
Past couple weeks. They have not liked me at all. I did like the Milhurst pick. That saved their draft. So Colton Miller, look, obviously I watched a lot of Josh Rosen film, and I didn't love what I saw out of Miller. The plus side is great athlete, and he is a massive human being. He does look a lot like Nate Solder, but he also needs a lot of work. Colton Miller as a prospect is, as an actual tackle, it's not really there yet. And I think maybe the biggest concern for me in the end with Colton Miller is, yeah, you've got this great athlete with great size. Are you trusting Tom Cable to make the most out of him? Because the big concern for me with Tom Cable's recent track record in Seattle with drafting offensive linemen high, it's actually been very bad. So this pick has Tom Cable written all over it. Cable keeps thinking he can take these good athletes and turn them into something great. But you look at the at least round 4 picks for Cable in Seattle, that's not a good list. Now, maybe Ethan develops into something, but I don't think it's going to be a Fetty. Reese and Poole and Glowinski have not been good players. So I don't really have any faith in Tom Cable. And as much as we don't want to admit it, fit does matter. So you put a developmental type tackle with Tom Cable, I don't trust that. Fit really matters in the NFL. Which is also why I saw a comment about Baker Mayfield. That's why I think there's some more concern there.
Yeah, the logic.
Because it's the Browns.
Exactly. I think John in the comments section said that one. What up, John? Thanks for watching. All right, let's get to the next name here, Tom. And I'm a fan of this one. Baltimore Ravens tight end Hayden Hurst. Like, what are you doing, Ravens?
I was just, the next 2 guys, I was just straight up not fans of.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of faith in Hayden Hurst. The upside, again, is there. He's a good athlete, has shown the ability to be a nice move tight end, but he's also older than you want as a prospect, and he is developing. So, yes, the NFL is ageist, and I guess I am too. I don't like mid-20s tight ends who still need work in the actual part of being a tight end.
In the first round.
In the first round. When, frankly, I think there is a real argument, Cam, that the guy that took the Ravens took in round 3 is actually a better player.
Sure, Mark
now,
Andrews.
I had Hurst a little bit ahead of Andrews, but again, fit we mentioned. The Ravens' track record of tight ends has been bad.
Remember when Max Williams was supposed to be the guy coming out of Minnesota?
I thought he was going to be good, and he was not good.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm wrong about Hayden Hurst, but I just have concerns about him actually becoming the guy for Baltimore when he's not a great blocker and he's still pretty raw. 3 career touchdowns for an athletic tight end. I know that college teams don't ever know how to use tight ends properly, but you would think you'd have more for a guy of his age.
All right, so there you go. Hayden Hurst on the list there, as well as this guy. Not Tremaine, Terrell Edmonds. This was a head-scratcher.
I'm still not totally convinced that the Steelers didn't think that Jermaine Edmonds was on the board. Now, I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do with Edmonds because they have 4 strong safeties now. With Davis, Burnett, Edmonds, and they also took Marcus Allen. None of those guys are true deep-end safeties. Now, you could see a scenario where maybe a guy like Edmonds or a guy like even Burnett plays more linebacker. That might be a decent role for Edmonds, but he's a really, really good athlete. The issue is he's still a better athlete than he is football player. There are times he gets himself out of position. There are times he overruns and just misses plays.
And that's kind of the Edmonds MO, too.
Yeah,
very athletic
both of them. Both of them are great athletes. But my mindset was he was, for me and a lot of other people, a 3rd-round player. Now, Tracy Walker was also a later-round pick, but you passed on Jesse Bates, Justin Reed, Ronnie Harrison, and Tavarius Moore. At least 3 of those guys I thought would have been much better picks for the Steelers than Edmonds. Great athlete, but he's still a work in progress as an actual football player, and that's the big concern for me.
All right, Terrell Edmonds there, a potential bust for the first round of the NFL draft. Let's summarize Tom Downey's list here. And Tom, you've got Josh Allen there, then Marcus Davenport, Colton Miller, Hayden Hurst, Terrell Edmonds. No particular order here, Tom, but if you had to pick one, the most likely, it's got to be Allen?
It's Allen. And he's also, he is without a doubt the most likely to bust, but we'll see if he actually ends up busting. Again, all these guys could work out very well, but we'll see what happens there in the end.
All right, so there you go. Top 5 most likely first-round busts here. Tom Downey, thank you, sir, for coming along for the ride here on the Cam Rodgers Show. So once again, it's Allen, it's Davenport, it's Colton Miller, Hayden Hurst. Guys, let me know in comments the most likely bust, and you can't say Cam Rodgers because I'm not going into the NFL. Looking at you, Marcos, all right? But this program here is sponsored by Mizzen and Main. Head on to comfortable.af for these advanced performance fabric shirts. We love them. We love this company. Products made right here in America. Get it done, comfortable.af. No ironing needed, no dry cleaning needed either. All right, folks, to wrap up the program here, Eldrick Tiger Woods performed well at the Players' Championship, particularly yesterday. Finished T11. Remember, he barely made the cut to play on the weekend. Fired a big-time score on Saturday, played well yesterday as well. Started the round 11 shots behind the eventual champion, Webb Simpson, the 2012 U.S. Open winner at Olympic. And so Woods converted birdies on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 9th holes, then at 11th and 12th yesterday, and was actually 6 under par at one point. So we probably won't see Tiger until the Memorial, which will be played in Ohio there, and then it's on to the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills, where Tiger has played a couple times before. But I'll tell you what, he's got great momentum at this point with his iron game and wedge game. He still needs to be a tad better with the big stick, with the driver, and of course, driving accuracy has never been his MO, but if he can just marginally improve upon that, he'll play well at the Memorial as well as the U.S. Open, and Tiger's trying to qualify for the Bridgestone Invitational as well in Akron, Ohio. He has performed really well there, has won 8 times. But for the U.S. Open, the USGA gives you zero margin for error in terms of trying to hit fairways here. If you miss the fairway, you're in some lush grass. And for Tiger to miss fairways at the U.S. Open, it's not going to spell well for him. I don't care how strong or how healthy that back is. So Tiger still got good momentum going. Just got to improve upon that driver, but his iron game is flush. Love his short game as well. And the putting is getting a little hot as well. So that's the deal with Tiger, finishing T11 at the Players' Championship. All right, folks, you have been watching the Cam Rodgers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. I will see you back here 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Until then, enjoy your Monday, enjoy your Tuesday. Take care, everybody.